There he is. Welcome to the Montgomery County Beef Show. You come with high regard there from Austin there, but don't believe everything Austin says. Marcus went to Texas Tech University and Colorado State. He was on the judging team at Butler. Currently works for Elanco. He judged a lot of state and county shows, and we sure want to welcome him to the Montgomery County Beef Show. Our beef superintendent, Mr. Austin Sorensen, and his wife Sydney there, they do a good job. They always have, and they've been, here again, good supporters of the youth.
Hi, how are you? I can probably hear you on this. Your statics are in the car. Are you shooting today? You just have one or two? Starting, so I started this. Sorry to the 6 people that are watching. Because I'm only the people I'm like friends with. This thing's live streaming. I can probably hear you if you're doing something shout. Greg's supposed to bring you.
Okay, we're in the first class. Brady Pepper, one more to go.
Right? She didn't even wink at me. Dude, I'm so happy. I know, early this morning.
And I'm not even helping with the show. Your brother is helping John switch off. And I was like, why the hell am I here? And jeans for you, John, because you asked me to help last night. And I was like, sure, I'll be in there.
Ready to go now. Here.
I'm not even helping him out.
Oh, that sucks.
First one in the ring, he's on the Daywood. And there's your Lord Pepper.
Like 6 to 9 hours. And then the show at 10 hours.
These are breeding efforts.
One.
There's just
Dude, the swine show literally took under 9. I'm not even kidding.
Second one in the ring is also on the Daywood Pepper.
Shove and chip, I think.
And the third one in the ring will be Addison Post. 3 short-horn breeding efforts to start our breeding effort show here today at the county fair.
I didn't know if he was going to be fast. Which page is the front?
of you folks ringside. It's certainly a pleasure to have the opportunity to be here this morning. Couldn't think of a greater extracurricular activity than showing cattle and getting the opportunity to show cattle. I know that it's been a tough year for a lot of people and a lot of counties, and I know for you young people there was a big question lingering around in the beginning of March is if you're going to get to show your projects. And for those of you that show cattle projects, this is a longer period of time that you have to work with these animals, and so you didn't know if you're going to have a county fair. And so it's awesome that we're here this morning. We've got a good cool morning. You guys have an awesome facility, and so I think it's going to be a great day. And as we start into our cattle show, the young lady here in the front's going to be first, a really big body type of female, a really moderate, practical type of heifer, and really as you compare her to the two other cattle right in behind her, I think she just overwhelms them in terms of rib, body, and practicality. I don't know that she's maybe just the most attractive up to her front end. I'd hook her top line up maybe just a little bit smoother, but getting pretty critical on one that I think just from the fundamental standpoint of her practicality and her rib and her body probably needs to be the one that goes ahead and leads off. The young lady heifer that comes in second, I think she does a really nice job with hers. Young lady heifer gets out on the stride and really beats her stride really well. Sound-footed type of female, I really like those things about her. She might be a touch just longer and more extended up to her front end, a really long body type of female, and I appreciate those attributes about her. I guess for me, she's maybe one that gets just a touch off in her top line as well, and in comparison to that lead-off heifer, I don't know that she's maybe quite as bold in terms of her rib and her body. I'd like to just pull her down ever so slightly in regards to her flank, but just a nice type of fundamental female that needs to stay in second. Young man's heifer that's going to come in third, substitute showman. The young lady had both of these heifers here in 2 and 3. A really moderate heifer, again, one that's pulled the lead. She beats her stride. She's really sound-footed. I appreciate those attributes about her. I guess as we step in behind her, she's maybe not as dimensional as the two other heifers directly in front of her. I just give her a shot more body and a shot more dimension to get more competitive within this respective class. But what a great way to start. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Thank you, Marcus. Winning that class. And being champion short horse breeding heifer is Aniston Poston with a purple. Reserve with Donna Damewood with a purple. And third with Donna Damewood with a blue. This is our first class of commercial breeding heifers now in the ring. There's just one in here, and that's Lily Anderson.
This is not working.
Why you gotta be difficult today?
As we get started into our commercial show, the young lady brings us a nice single entry, and young lady, if it's okay with you, I'm going to let you be the class winner here. I think that one that could use some competition, but definitely a big-footed type of female. She gets out, she's really sound-footed. I appreciate those aspects of her. I think just in terms of her moderation, there's some things that you could like. She's a really long body. I think a female just proportionally needs to maybe balance up just a touch better. Here from the side, the deeper part on her is probably her chest, and as we get back into her flank, I'd like to see her just with a touch more body, just to give her a more cowy look. But young lady, you're doing a really good job there with that heifer. Congratulations.
Winning that class was Lily Anderson with a blue. That's our first class at commercial heifer. Coming in with her second class at commercial heifer, Briar Fisher just came through the ring. And the other exhibitor is Sam Lindgren. This is our second class at commercial breeding heifer. I see our fair board president is here today. She's sitting down on the seat. Amy Lydell, stand up. Let's give Amy and her crew a real nice round of applause. It's been a trying year this year, right? But you came through. Your crew came through. I'm proud of you. Thanks to you. The whole bunch, right? I used to work for Amy out at the sale barn out there, but her and Mark used it, or I mean not used it, owned it. And one thing about Amy, she spoke soft but carried a big stick. We had a lot of fun, didn't we? A lot of fun.
Two nice females these young men bring in, and I think this pair gets really competitive. There's a lot of trade-offs between the two, and I think you could really make a strong case to go either way. the young man that comes in, we're going to leave them the way they came in. That young man's going to be first. I think a really nice, smooth blending female from the profile. I guess it's just her added look of femininity and balance, and the way that she's shaped that probably hits me a little bit harder in comparison to the one that comes in second. I'd like to stouten her up in her bone work, maybe loosen her up out of her hip and her hock just ever so slightly, and that's where the longer body heifer has the bigger advantage. She's definitely stouter in her bone work. She gets out with more reach to her hock, and I like those things about her. I read her maybe to be a touch plainer through her lower body and her forerib, a long body female that just proportionally maybe doesn't balance up quite like that female ahead of her, but a really nice pair there in 1 and 2. Both of those are nice females. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
Two really nice heifers there to be first and second in that class. First went to Briar Fisher with a purple. Second went to Sam Lindgren with a purple. This is our third class of commercial heifers. The young lady here is Taylor Yates. The young man here again is Briar Fisher. Two heifers in this class of commercial heifers.
Another nice competitive pair, and for me, the young man's black heifer is going to go ahead and win. I think in this respective duo, she's definitely one that paints just a higher quality image from the side. Really like her attractive set to her hip and her hind leg, and because of that attractive set, I think she gets out, utilizes her feet and legs maybe a touch more functional than the heifer that comes right in behind her in second. Just a really smooth blending, really high quality female that's going to go ahead and lead off. Not to take anything away from the red heifer, the young lady's got a really big body type of female. I think a female that's really practical in her kind. I like those things about her. It's just when she gets out on the move that she gets maybe a touch more rigid in her rear leg and the way she takes it to the ground. I'd like to loosen her up in her structural build just to give her more just cushion and flex there out of her hind leg, but nice competitive pair. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
Again, two really Outstanding commercial breeding effort. First in that class goes to Briar Fisher with a purple. Second to Taylor Yates with a blue. That's our last class in commercial breeding effort. The young lady coming into the ring is Chloe Bruce. After this class, our judge will be selecting the champion commercial breeding effort.
Young lady brings us a nice single entry, and again, I think this one will win pretty comfortably, but one that can use some competition. Just a really cowy type of female. I like her rib, her body, just her practicality, and I think a female that is really functional in her skeletal build as well. I like those attributes about her, and I think a heifer that is 3 months along, you can definitely tell she's a calf, and I think she's one that just looks like a good breeding female in terms of her rib, her body, her practicality. Maybe the only thing I'd like to change today about her is her attitude a little bit, but a nice heifer that the young lady brings us. We'll see her back in a little bit. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Chloe Bruce. She received the purple, the only one in that class. Now our judge will be selecting our champion commercial breeding effort. Young lady is coming in here to win the first class is Lily Anderson. Briar Fisher right here with the third. And that's Briar Fisher's heifer, that's the Baldy heifer there, on the second pot. And then Chloe Bruce there. This is for champion commercial breeding effort.
good group of heifers here in our commercial heifer division, and I think it's one that gets really competitive, maybe between two in particular in my mind, but we'll kind of run through the lineup real quickly. The young lady up front there, she's got a really long-sided, a really nice, structurally sound type of female, one that within this respective lineup young lady, I think could use maybe just a little bit more body, but I like the fact that she's sound, I like her length. I think you've done some nice things with her. Heifer right in behind her, I think one that you appreciate her femininity, you appreciate her smoothness. I think maybe in comparison to the two other heifers directly in behind her, gets a little bit frailer in her bone work, and I don't know that she's maybe quite as just massive in terms of her build and just presentation, but definitely think that's a nice type of female. I think there's a lot of quality in her. I think the young lady's got a good one. She's sound and correct as well, and so there's a lot to really appreciate in her. I guess for me, it gets a little bit closer between the two that are directly in behind her, the one that comes out of our third class and the young lady that comes out of our fourth class. The young man that comes out of our third class, I really love the smoothness in this female. I really like where she's at from a condition standpoint in her age right now. She's going to be a moderate heifer. I think one that, in comparison to the heifer behind her, probably reads more attractive in her top line. She's smoother in that regard. She's smoother blending in her shoulder, in her forerib. I think she's one that is just more genuine in her condition right now. And then as she gets out on the go, I like the way that she sets her rear leg down, maybe just a notch more, just flexible there in her hock, and doesn't maybe get as touch rigid there in her pastern in comparison to that other one. But maybe just like to see her just a touch bolder there in her lower body in comparison to that heifer that comes out of the fourth class, but I really like a lot of things about the heifer that comes out of class 3. Heifer that comes out of class 4, like I said, within that respective class, the young lady had a single entry there that I thought could use more competition because I thought there was a lot of quality in that female. She's so big-bodied, she's so cowy in her look, in her presentation, and yet she's really stout in her feature, and I like those things about her. She's got tons of bone, and I really like that. It kind of builds into and matches up with her stoutness and power. Maybe not just as just fresh and maybe not quite as youthful as the heifer up front. I think she has just a touch more on her in regards to condition, and that's more evident with her chest just sitting out maybe just a little bit more. More importantly though, when we get those cattle on the lead, I think that heifer gets just a touch off in her top line and maybe doesn't want to sit down quite as soft and quite as comfortable there in her rear leg where she takes it to the ground, and that becomes more evident the way she's posed up and standing right there. And saying that, young man here, you're going to be our champion. I like that female quite a bit. Congratulations.
Commercial breeding heifer goes to Briar Fisher. Bring in the second place heifer in that class.
Facebook, we're taking a little detour so you can have a better view. There we go. Again, sorry for the technical difficulty. I'll just hold it.
Again, some of you that wasn't here at the start of the show, our judge today is Marcus Arlen from Winterset, Iowa. He went to Texas Tech University, Colorado State, is on the judging team in Butler. He currently works for Elanco, and I believe he's also in the Angus
You might want to hold up
cattle
here.
business. Right, Marcus? He's talking to the boss now. Marcus, we're going to take up a collection for you in Austin. A razor and some shaving cream. I gave Austin a razor and shaving cream while I was here, but he said he lost it. I think there comes that effort. I think you'll agree with me. We don't have many breeding efforts in our county, but what we have are pretty good quality.
the young lady brings the red heifer in for reserve contention, and within that respective class, like we talked about, I think a female that is really moderate. She's long-bodied, she has plenty of rib and body, and I think she's got the fundamentals to be a good cow for the young lady. I think in a competitive lineup, I'd probably just change her hind leg assembly just a scotch, but I definitely think that's going to be a good cow. There's another one that I talked about quite a bit, and I think it's really competitive for that champion honor. So in saying that, young lady that comes out of her last class will have our reserve champion. A lot of good things about that one. Congratulations.
Reserve breeding heifer goes to Chloe Bruce. Champion Briar Fisher, congratulations. Reserve Chloe Bruce, and congratulations to all you other kids. Really brought some good efforts here to the breeding heifer show. Now our judge will be selecting our overall champion breeding heifer. Champion Shorthorn was shown by Aniston Poston. She's coming in here, and she will show him Briar Fisher for Supreme Champion breeding heifer. Sponsors of our overall champion breeding heifer is Nelson, Simmental, and Angus. If you're here, go back here by the backdrop so we can get your pictures. And Reserve is sponsored by Kathy and Dave Hart of Hart Farm. If you're here, we'd like to get your picture. Just notified they're not having pictures because of the COVID deal. They're just having pictures of the kids. Everybody keep a big smile on your face. We got a candid camera up here. KCSI is videoing the deal, and we want to thank you for your coverage up there, young lady.
A little longer, appreciate it.
Well, as we wrap up here with our heifer show, I think a nice pair of division champions, and I think two females that exhibit a lot of quality and a lot of just fundamental traits that are really important in the industry. And I think your announcer, Mr. Bob over here, said it best in saying that there's quality females, especially up top here in your show. You may not have had the biggest of heifer shows today, but what you do have will be good foundation females for these young people to go build herds around and make breeding projects around. And so that couldn't be more true, and I completely agree with Bob's comments and think that the females that we have had in our breeding heifer show get to be good breeding resources and breeding tools for these young people to go build some nice just projects around. And so I think they've done a great job. Before I start talking any of the cattle, those of you ringside, big round of applause for these exhibitors. Really nice show. As we bring both of our division champions out here, we'll talk about each of them briefly and where I think each of them has maybe some advantages and maybe some things that you would change about each of them. The Shorthorn heifer, I think, is just so cowy in her look. We talked about her being just really practical in her rib and her body, just a low maintenance type of female long term, and I really like those things about her. She's still really sound, and I appreciate her structural build, just a really correct female in that regard. I think in comparison to the heifer right in behind her, she gets a touch plainer up to her front end where her neck ties into her shoulder, and I'd like to hook her up right in her top line, maybe just a nickel better, but I think that female from her shoulder back is just so cowy in her presentation and her appearance. Not many shorthorn females, purebred shorthorn females like that, and I definitely think the young lady's got something there to be proud of. The young man's commercial heifer, but we talked about her just being really smooth from the side. I think she's got a a great female look up through her front end. I think she blends really smooth in her shoulder and her body. She's just got a great shape. She's show collected in her top line, and then she builds on just a really attractive look by having just a really attractive and good set there to her hip and her hind leg. Yet I think more importantly, when we pull the cattle to lead, she's really sound, she's really functional. I think she just takes a look of quality maybe to another level. And so in saying that, let's give a big round of applause here to the young man. He's going to have our champion heifer. Congratulations.
The great champion breeding heifer goes to Briar Fisher. Congratulations, young man. Our judge will be selecting the reserve breeding heifer. Entering the ring now is Chloe Bruce, the champion commercial heifer. She will go against the shorthorn heifer here for reserve.
The other young lady here with a commercial heifer comes in for reserve contention. Super big body, super stout, super dimensional type of female. We got kind of critical of her in that division in the way that she's maybe made up her front end and her shoulder. Maybe from a condition standpoint, maybe one would like to just tone back just a touch, but I think a female that still exhibits a lot of quality. She's been my second favorite here in our lineup. Young lady, you're going to have our reserve champion. Congratulations.
Reserve goes to Chloe Bruce with her champion commercial. That is our breeding heifer show for today. We'll go into our cow calf division. Again, sponsoring the champion breeding heifer trophy goes to Nelson, Seminole, and Angus. And reserve is Dave and Kathy Hart. Thanks to those sponsors. Here comes our first class of commercial cow-calf pairs. Madison Doyle. First one here in the ring. With her cow-calf here coming into the ring. First class, the commercial cow-calf pairs.
Sorry, it's all crumbled.
As we get started here in our cow-calf pair show, I think both cows and both pairs just really nice, and yet I think there's one pair that maybe takes it just to another level, and I think it becomes more evident by the calves that are there by their side. Young lady here with the more blonde cow and the brockle-faced calf there is going to lead us off within this respective class. Cow's in really good shape. She's really long-bodied. I think a cow that's at 7 years old is in really good shape. She's got some stoutness. She's got some power yet. I still think she's really sound in terms of her structural build. I'd probably give her just a touch more moderation. She might be just hip height wise just a touch bigger than I probably prefer, but not to discredit her by any means. She's got a super nice calf there by her side. I think one that balances up and just offers a great deal of quality, and I like that one just a great deal. So this pair is going to be first, not to discredit the young man and the young lady here with their pair. That's going to be second. I think the cow there, first time heifer, she's done a good job with this calf, and I think a show project the young lady talked about, and you could tell she's really excited about that calf, and as she should be. Just a really practical cow. She stayed in really good shape. Maybe in comparison, not just as overall, just dimensional, maybe not as correct in comparison, but a lot of good things that I like about the cow. Really nice calf that there the young lady brings us. Congratulations to those exhibitors as well.
Two excellent cow-calf pairs there. First went to Carson Poston with a purple. Second, Madison Doyle with a blue. This our second class of cow-calf pairs. This is our seat stock cow-calf pairs. The Lady Yates with the smoky cow and calf, and Tana Danewood with the red cow and calf. Two pair in this class that will be selecting overall grand champion cow-calf pair.
We get into the second cow-calf pair class, I really think it gets more competitive, and I think there's give and take between both of these respective pairs. the Charolais cow there you really like in terms of her rib, her body, her teat placement is really correct. She's got a high-performing stout type of calf there by her side. And then you take the Shorthorn here that might be milked down a little harder, but she's definitely got a great great teat structure underneath her, and yet she's got an ultra high-quality calf there by her side. And so I'd say that I think it makes it really competitive between those respective pairs. I think there's just a little bit more cow up here, the Charolais cow, and young lady, you're going to lead this class off and be our class winner today with that pair. Like I said, one that balances up really, really well. A cow that stayed just in great condition, in great shape, as old as she is. I think a female that is really just good in terms of her condition. She hasn't maybe milked down quite as hard as the Shorthorn. A really high-performing calf there by her side, a really nice pair. The Shorthorn, I think, again, just makes it really competitive because you look at the calf here, and there's a lot of quality in that calf. And young lady, I'd be really, really excited to have a Shorthorn calf like that. I think you have a lot to be proud of. I think that cow is taking it maybe a little bit harder, just milking down, maybe just a touch more. And so from a condition standpoint, she may not be maybe quite as good condition as the heifer directly in front of you, but don't let those things discourage you. I think you've got a phenomenal cow-calf pair, a lot of things to be proud of. Really competitive class. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
Two really good cow-calf pairs there. First goes to Delaney Yates with a purple. Second, Patana Damewood, also with a purple. Our judge is now selecting the overall grand champion cow-calf pair. Coming into the ring is Carson Poston, winner of the first class. And Delaney Yates, winner of the second class. Two really nice pairs right here. Thanks again to all of the sponsors that are supporting our race here at the Montgomery County Fair.
As we finish up here in our cow-calf show, I think again Bob said it really, really good at the beginning when they came in. Both just high quality and exceptionally good cow-calf pairs that we've had. Again, maybe not just a tremendous deal of numbers, but a lot of quality that's been represented. I think you young people have something to be proud of here in your projects and something to take home and continue to build your herd around, and really excited for what you guys will be able to do with these pairs. I think there's some trade-off between these respective pairs. I think the young lady up front, just a really long, smooth type of female. I really like her stoutness. I like her structural build. Love those attributes about her. Maybe just on an individual basis, just like to square her up in her teeth structure just a touch. Maybe from my perspective, bring her down just in regards to her hip height. But that's my again, I grew up in the West Texas, a panhandle, and cows had to be a little bit more moderate, had to thrive on pretty much a whole lot of nothing. And so where you guys here in Iowa have an abundance of grass and can run more cattle per acre than we could back in West Texas, maybe that changes the conversation and you can find a female like that. She fits the environment here maybe just a little bit better, and she's got a great calf there by her side. The pair right in behind her, really moderate type of cow. She's got tons of ribs, she's got tons of body, she's got tons of practicality. She would fit into the environment that I talked about where I grew up, and you'd probably be a really low maintenance type of cow that you wouldn't have to just supplement and do a whole lot to. I love her teeth structure and udder placement. That's probably the thing that lures me in the most. She's got a nice high performing calf there by her side as well, but I'm just really drawn to the balance and the parts of that female. She's got a good female look. I like her moderation. I really for a lot of things about that respective pair. Young lady, you're going to have our champion. Congratulations.
And cow calf goes to Delaney Yates. Now coming in to compete for reserve is Donna Damewood. Congratulations, Delaney.
The short-horn pair comes in for reserve conversation, and again, I think that female milled down maybe just a little bit harder and a little bit tougher condition, but I think she's really correct in her team structure and her udder placement as well. I think a female that she's got a great female look up front, and yet she supports that with just an exceptionally high-quality calf there by her side. A really nice pair there. For reserve contention, I think it gets maybe a little bit closer, and I think both of these pairs are represented by high-quality calves. I think you young people can go do and just be proud of the cattle that you have, and maybe just go back and do what fits your operation. I think that's the most important thing you guys can take away, because what you might be trying to do in your breeding program might be entirely different than what you're trying to do in your breeding program. And so it's kind of just what fits this judge and his opinion today. There's a certain type of cow that fits me maybe a little bit better, and that's more of a more moderate type of cow that's a little lower input, and I think the shorthorn pair fits that maybe just a little bit better for me today. That pair will be reserved. Congratulations to them. Really competitive cow-calf pair show.
Reserve cow calf goes to Donna Damewood. Again, sponsoring the champion was Great Western Bank. Sponsoring reserve was Dave and Kathy Hart. We'll have 4 feeder calves now in our feeder calf show. 2 of them won't be on your program. So we got Madison Doyle, Carson Poston, Donna Damewood, and Delaney Yates. 4 heads in the feeder calf show. Sponsoring the champion feeder calf trophy is Miller Financial Group. That were in the top 10 renegade. Please come to the show ring. The top 10 renegade kids come to the show ring for your recognition. That's Carson Poston, Riley Jacobs, Devin Isaacson, John Peterson, Austin Homestead, Olivia Jacobs, John Peterson, and Lady DeFree. But those kids come to the right here.
standard cattle show. As they came in, obviously we had seen them all next to the cows that they're on within the cow-calf feeder division. And so get them back out here and line them back up, change things around maybe a little bit more. Definitely a lot of quality in this lineup from first to fourth. For me, we talked about the shorthorn calf and all the quality that he exhibits, and I think that holds true out here in this contemporary group. Love his balanced parts, love his ribbon body. I think that has tons of power and tons of upside potential. I think there to work with, young lady. Love to see what that turns out to be like. Now, don't take anything away from the Brockwell face heifer right in behind him. I think the heifer here is one that's just really long-sided, really long-fronted, one that has a lot of bone and structurally sound as well. Maybe in comparison, maybe not the same body shape as the little bull calf, but definitely think this female exhibits just a great balance and a lot of upside as well. It'll be fun to see what that one looks like as she continues to grow and mature into an older type of female. The one that's going to be third comes off a really nice cow, and I think the calf that has a lot of performance. We talked about this female being really thick and really dimensional. I really appreciate those things about her. Maybe as we get her on an individual basis in comparison to those two other calves, I don't know that she maybe balances up quite as well as those two other cattle, and because of that probably needs to be third within this respective class. Young ladies, it's going to be next. We talked about this one still being a really nice, high-performing type of calf for the young lady. In comparison, kind of just a lighter bone calf that gives up some body and some power in comparison, but a nice calf that should make a really good future prospect for this young lady. Congratulations to all those exhibitors on their feeder calf projects.
Second to Delaney Yates. Third, I got to bring you right in. Madison Doyle was fourth, and third was excuse me, I'm all mixed up right here now. First was Daywood. Second was Poston, third was Gates, fourth was Doyle. Real nice group of feeder calves. Here comes the kids that are the cattle feeders, right here in the top 10 in Montgomery County.
John. He's like, I'm with a bunch of females.
First place, Arston Poston. There she is. Her calf had a gain of 3.71. Congratulations. Second went to Riley Jacobs. Third went to Devin Isaacson. Fourth to John Peterson. You're pretty timid there, John. Not all that good looking gal there. Fifth went to Aniston Poston. Sixth went to Olivia Jacobs. Sixth to seventh to Hannah Whitten. Eighth to John Peterson. Ninth to Taylor Yates. And 10th to Laney DeFree. That's the kids that their cattle gained the best in the top 10 in Montgomery County. Congratulations, kids. Did an excellent job. Hey, come here, young lady. Come here. You kids made it in the top 10 feeding your calves. You want to tell me what you fed them and how much and all this and that? You don't know? Did you have some help feeding them? himself? Your dad helped you feed him? Well, that's good. Is your dad here? He's putting the calf away. How old are you? You're 11 years old. Where do you go to school? Liska? 11 years old, that'd be what grade? Get all A's? She's honest. She said, kind of. Hey, glad to see you here at the county fair. You did an excellent job. Is this your buddy here?
Yes.
What's your name? I see. Boy, that's a pretty name. Where'd you get freckles? Your great grandma had them, huh? What grade are you in? Going into 5th grade? What do you like best about the Montgomery County Fair? Showing? Hey, I like you. You kids did an excellent job. You bring a lot of calves next year to the county fair. Let's give them a nice round of applause. Do real nice job. Okay. Now we start our beef show. First class here is Brett Martin. He's just a beginner. Boy, he's a good looking guy, isn't he? Brett's calf weighed 1,275 pounds. He had a rating gain of 259. One thing about it, in our steer show, now to be eligible for a blue, they got to gain 2.4. In the market heifer, they got to gain 2.2. And to be eligible for a blue. 2.4 in the steer, 2.2 in the market heifer. Sponsoring our champion beginner beef is Body Basics. We want to thank them and all of the sponsors that we've had all day today and those that are still to come. Wished we had more beginners for you, but we got a good one in here.
Beginner beef class that has a really nice calf there. I think the young man does a great job here with his project, first time with a big beef project. And so, young man, I commend you on your efforts. I hope this isn't the last, and I hope it's the first of many good steers that you're going to continue to feed out and projects that you'll continue to have for many years to go. This calf, I think, as you get right in behind it from a muscularity standpoint, pretty stout, pretty powerful type of calf. I think one very appropriate in regards to his weight from a condition standpoint, just about spot on. And so from the market fundamentals, I think you've got a lot of things really correct. And then as we talk about the show attributes that make one maybe a little bit more elite, that thing, as you get on the side of him, balances it up really pretty intriguingly. I think just a nice fat steer. I think he's got a lot of show attributes and a lot of fundamental things that you like just from a muscularity and composition standpoint. So he checks a lot of boxes, and I think a really nice calf there to be your first market beef project. Congratulations on this young man being a class winner. Good calf.
Our beginner beef champion is Brett Hart. Good job there, Brett. Got good brakes on that calf too. Again, sponsor for the champion beginner beef is Monty Basic. Brett, come up here. That's our first class of market heifers. We got Briar Fisher. His heifer weighs 1045, gained 257. Jolene Fisher. Her heifer weighs 1067 and gained 246. Brett, what do you think about showing calves?
It was pretty fun.
Pretty fun? What'd you feed him? Show feed? How many did you bring to the fair?
Only one.
Just one, but you brought really a good one. And I'm really tickled you came. You did an outstanding job of showing your calf. You had him presented well, and you did a super job of feeding him. Good job there. Bring two next year, will you? Atta boy. Did a super nice job there. It's not easier when you're little like him and you got a 1,300 pound steer, in the ring, but he had him broke, and that proves he's worked on him. Again, this is our first class of market heifer, Briar Fisher and Jolene Fisher. Got a family feud right here, right, Briar?
to have her show a nice competitive class. I think there's some trade-offs between the pair, but I think there's one that just exhibits us a touch more quality. The young man's Brockle-based heifer there is going to lead the class off with. I think from a muscularity standpoint, she's definitely more expressive in her shape. I think she's one that really gets around the gray heifer just in terms of her look and her balance. I'd maybe like to set her down just a touch more comfortable in her rear leg. She is a little lighter weight. I'd like to see her just a touch further along from a composition or condition standpoint. And maybe that's where you could make a case for the gray heifer that the young lady brings us. A really big body type of female that handles with more finish, and she's more appropriate in that regard. And from that standpoint, I like her a great deal. She's a female that has some muscle and some dimension in her as well. I guess just from an aesthetic standpoint, gets a little bit frailer in her bone work, maybe a female that just gets a touch more rigid in her hind leg placement. But nice pair of heifers there. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
In our first class of market heifers, first goes to Briar Fisher with a purple, second to Jolie Fisher with a blue. Now in our second class of market heifers, Madison Doyle. Her heifer weighs 1151 and had a gain of 2.18. The young lady with the smoky heifer coming in is Carson Poston. Her heifer weighed 1180 and had a gain of 2.41. And then Delaney Yates. Her heifer weighs 1183 and a gain of 258. That's our second class of market heifers.
the young lady, Smoke Heifer, is going to lead us off. Definitely a female that's moderate in her size. She's ultra big bodied, yet I think from just a sheer dimension standpoint and just combining that with being the most appropriate from a condition standpoint, I think that's where she probably has the big advantage within this respective lineup. She needs a square shape right in behind her shoulder. I think she's one that just has more rib and more body and more stoutness to her bone work. I like all those things about this female. I guess in a perfect world, I'd probably just clean her up to her front end just a touch, but female from that point back is just so practical in her body shape. She's so powerful in her kind, and I think the combination of just power and compositional correctness brings that female there to the front. Heifer that comes in next, I think a heifer that still has some dimension. She has some width there to her pin set. I think a female that has a really big loin. I don't know that she's maybe quite as bold right in behind her shoulder. I don't know that she's as stout in terms of her body and her bone work. I think the bigger issue is we get her pulled the lead. Maybe a female gets just a little shorter coupled and touch off in her top line. Maybe some aesthetic and some balance things that we'd like to change in her, but fundamentally just a really correct type of female. Heifer that's coming in next, definitely one that's more extended in her kind. A really long body heifer that definitely is maybe just a touch longer and looser striding at her hip and her hock. I like those things about her. I just wish she complemented maybe with a touch more power and a touch more muscle. Step right in behind the cattle. She gets just outhorsed and outmassed in a really stout lineup. A good trio of females. Congratulations.
That was her second class. The market heifers winning the class is Karsten Poston with a purple. Second went to Delaney Yates with a blue. Third went to Madison Doyle with a red. This is our third and last class of market heifers. First one into the ring was Riley Jacobs. Her heifer weighs 1328 at a gain of 3.63. The next young lady there is Chloe Bruce. Her heifer weighs 1363 at a gain of 2.79. This is our last class of market heifers.
Two really nice females here in this last class, and I think there's one that just exhibits a lot of quality and balances up exceptionally well. The young lady here in the back is going to have her class winner. Young lady, you can go ahead and pull forward here. I think a female that is really stout, she's really powerful. I think a female that is really correct from a finish standpoint, and yet she takes it to another level, just some of those elite attributes of just balance and quality. I think she offers some of those, especially as we get her planted instead up on the side. Really like a lot of things about her. It makes a nice class winner. Maybe not the most perfect in the way she handles her hind leg, but it's getting really really nitpicky on one that I think is really nice. Heifer that comes in second, right in behind her, fundamentally she's really correct. A dimensional type of female that has a nice tandem of muscle and finish. I think a female, as you get off the side of her, just gets a touch plainer in her look. Heifer that needs to sit down with a more attractive hip and hind leg, maybe in comparison, to get around the heifer ahead of her. But a really tough competitive class. My congratulations to both these young ladies.
Two real nice heifers in there, both purple. First goes to Chloe Bruce, second to Riley Jacobs. Our judge now will be selecting the grand champion market heifer. First class winner was Briar Fisher. Second class winner was Carson Poston. Third class winner, Chloe Bruce.
Here for our market heifer division, I think there's three really nice females within this respective division, and I think all three of them check the boxes of just being very fundamentally correct for their weight and where they're at in this stage of the game. The lighter weight heifer up front is definitely one you appreciate some quality in her. I think a female that offers a ton of muscle shape and expression. Maybe she's not as far along as the two other cattle right in behind her from a finish or a composition standpoint. I think if you put just a few more pounds on her, I think that'll come with time. Maybe she's not, from a market standpoint, just the most ideal today, but I think that's a really nice female that offers a great deal of quality as you get off the side of them. I think that makes a really nice market heifer for the young man. I think he's got a lot to be proud of. Fundamentally, there's a lot to like about the smoke heifer. She's ultra big bodied. She's really practical. Definitely one that is really stout in her bone work. I think one from a composition standpoint that's really spot on as we work into a pair of cattle that offer heavier weights. She is just a touch plainer, maybe up to her front end, and I think a female that as she gets out on the go, there's some things that you get maybe a little bit nitpicky on in her shoulder, but from that point back, she's really smooth and correct in the way that she handles. Just a really nice type of female. The black heifer that comes out of the third class, I think probably the freshest appearing type of heifer. I think she's dialed in from a presentation standpoint. The young lady's done a nice job with her. Really long frontage. She's fresher than the heifer directly ahead of her. I think one that feeds maybe a square and more powerful back shape right into the back of her shoulder, and I think she's more expressive. Yet with her added expression, she still is really just correct from a finish standpoint. So she checks the boxes there, and then she takes it maybe to another level and offering maybe just a touch more look and a touch more freshness up to her front end. If you were to make a strong case to maybe beat her, I think you would do so on the premise that she's maybe not as just big-bodied and impractical. Back through the lower part of her rib and her flank, I definitely think she could set down maybe just a touch better in her rear leg placement. But again, I told you folks ringside that I was getting really critical on her on an individual basis. I still think she offers the most quality in the lineup. Young lady, you're going to have her champion. Congratulations.
Camp market heifer goes to Chloe Bruce. Riley Jacobs will be coming in now to compete for reserve. Congratulations, Chloe. An excellent market heifer division here today. Not many, but the quality's been awfully good. Champion market heifer is sponsored by AgriVision, John Deere out here. Thanks to them for sponsoring the champion market heifer.
Young lady that was second in that last class brings us a nice, again, very fundamentally correct heavyweight market heifer, and I think she checks the boxes from that standpoint, but maybe from an aesthetic standpoint, she gives up some quality to the two other cattle directly ahead of her, and yet, again, there was one that I thought maybe rivaled some things that we liked in our champion and maybe some things that we could improve upon, and I think there's one that just very fundamentally correct, one I think makes a nice market effort out here. Young lady with a spoke heifer, she's going to be our reserve champion. Congratulations.
Reserve goes to Carson Poston. Congratulations to all of you kids that got market effort. Good job. Now we'll be starting our home raised market steers. We'll have 3 classes. In the first class, John Peterson, he's the only one in the first class. His steer weight 1086 and had a gain of 3.11.
As we get started in our steer show, the young man brings us a nice single entry, really long body type of steer, one that reads really smooth as you get off the side of him. I appreciate those things about this steer. I think maybe one a little bit on the lighter side, he could use just a touch more time. I think from a finish standpoint, he could use maybe just a touch more on him. And then on an individual basis, I'd probably like to see him just a touch bolder in his kind and a touch more powerful, but a nice type of steer, one that make a nice fast steer for the young man as he puts on a couple more pounds. Really nice single entry here, just lightweight class to start our steer show off. Congratulations.
Winner in our class is John Peterson. John received a blue for his steer. Our second class of home raised steers. Young lady coming into the ring is Jolie Fisher. Her steer weighed 1153 and gained 3 pounds a day. Next young lady coming into the ring is Kyla Hart. Her steer weighed 1179, had a gain of 2.29. Young lady with the red steer coming in, Hannah Whitten. Her steer weighed 1187 and gained 3.11. That's our second class of home raised steers.
believe the cattle the way they walked in, and I think a nice class winner, one that wins pretty easy, and that would be the young lady's black steer here up front. I think one that balances up really well. I think a steer that is really expressive in his kind, but more impressively, he's just built more correct in a skeleton than the other two directly behind him. I think a steer that could use maybe a touch more just overall body and dimension, but I think a nice, fundamentally correct type of steer that balances up exceptionally well and offers a quality look. I think it gets a little bit closer here between 2 and 3, and maybe you can make a case to switch the pair. I guess I see more muscle probably in the black and white steer that's going to come in too. I think he's maybe just a touch trimmer on an individual basis, and I probably prefer that. He's not too trim, and he's compositionally correct, and I think he's probably maybe not as just heavy conditioned as the red one following right in behind him, but definitely think a steer that probably a touch higher cutability, maybe one that still like to change his foot shape and the way that he gets out of his rear leg, give that steer just a shot more quality. The moderate red steer here is one that is ultra big body. I think his big advantage is he's got more finish on him. Unfortunately, he's taking it maybe just a little bit too extreme where he doesn't complement that with enough muscle shape and just power. I'd like to tone him back just a touch. He's maybe just a touch overdone, and then loosen that steer up in his rear leg placement. Tough competitive class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Nice class of steers there. First went to Jolie Fisher with a purple. Second to Kyla Hart with a red. Third to Hannah Whitten with a red. Now we'll have our third class of home-raised steers. Madison Doyle, Lady DeFree, Aniston Poston. 3 steers in this class. Our third class of home-raised steers. Again, helping in the ring today is Mr. Jake Gillespie down here, the south end, and Austin Sorensen. Austin, keep him in line there. He's our beef superintendent, him and his wife Cindy right here, doing a good job. Let's give Austin and his wife and Jake a nice round of applause. They help the kids there. It's not easy being a beef superintendent, isn't awesome. Get chewed a little bit? No, they're all good here in Montgomery County, aren't they? Good people. Amy Lydell, come over here. Again, we want to thank KCSI for videotaping the show here for the people at home. You want to tell a little bit about the online auction tomorrow? Maybe a lot of them, maybe haven't heard about it. If you would tell them, that'd be nice.
So we're going to go to a virtual auction tomorrow. Crescent Livestock Market is going to be hosting it through cattleusa.com. The extension office has a great instructions if you get on the Montgomery County Extension Office website. It'll list out exactly, but we are going to do pictures of the kids and everything that they exhibited. Each kid will come through one time, so we hope that many of our typical buyers will still get on and support these youth. They've had a rough year too, just like the rest of us. Thanks.
Thanks, Amy, and again, thank you as the president of the Fair Board. You've done a lot of work and answer a lot of questions this year, right? Keep up the good work, you and your crew.
A nice steer that leads this class off with. I think one that does so pretty quickly. I think of the pair of just bigger bodied and heavier muscled cattle that work their way up front, I think the one that we lead off with is just a touch higher quality. I like the way he presents himself from the side with just a great deal of balance. Steer that's just really practical. He's really good looking, a very fundamentally correct type of steer that wins pretty easily for me. Steer that comes in next, I think one the young lady is struggling with a little bit, but the steer that from a market standpoint, he's really correct. He's got a good shape down his top. I think his steer really powerful as you get in behind him. I think he's a touch stouter down through his lower quarter than the steer directly in front of him on an individual basis, but it's from the side where he probably gets beat. A steer that just gets a little bit more round in his kind, maybe like to level him up in his top. Definitely longer, leveler type of steer here that comes in third. I think one that just needs more muscle and power to get more competitive within that respective class. A good class of steers. Congratulations to those calves go out the gate.
Three really nice steers in that class of market steers. First went to Laney DeFreeze, second to Aniston Poston, third to Madison Doyle. Two purple and a blue. We have one calf in our final class of home raised market steers. That's Carson Poston. Her steer weighs 1501. Gain of 3.71. There's your ready game champion of the Montgomery County Fair. Carson Poston with her steer, 3.71 and weighs 1501. Good job, young lady.
nice single entry heavyweight steer that the young lady brings us. Ultra big body, just a really stout dimensional type of steer. Tons of bone work. I like that about him. It kind of matches a stout, rugged, kind of powerful kind. I like those things about that steer a great deal. I think a steer that getting up into the heavier weight, 1500, I think maybe compositionally just doesn't look maybe quite as fresh and maybe as youthful up through his front end, but that guy's packed full of power. He's got tons of product and muscle. Maybe some aesthetic things you change from the profile, but really like this guy. A lot of reasons just from a good market standpoint. I think he does a lot of things really well. Nice single entry. Congratulations to this young lady. I think she's had a lot of success here today. Congratulations with that single entry steer.
First is receiving a purple in that class is Carson Poston. Our judge now be selecting our champion and reserve home race market steer. Winner for first class is John Peterson. His steer weight 1086. Winner of the second class is Jolie Fisher. Her steer weight 1153. Winner of the third class is Lady DeFree. Her steer weight 1340. Winner of the last class, Carson Poston. Her steer weight 1501. They're now showing for champion home race steer. The sponsor of this division is Rod and Janine Hart.
As we bring each of our class winners out here for our champion home race steer, awesome lineup, and I think the premise behind the home race steer class is really unique, and I think a lot of quality that's represented. So I commend you young people in raising your projects and making a home race deal first and foremost, but then as you get out here, I think you've got something to be proud of in a really competitive lineup. Young man there with the first steer, really lightweight steer, I think a really long body type of steer, one that has some depth of ribs and body. I like those things about him. From a quality standpoint, I think one that just gets a touch plainer in terms of his look and his balance from the side. I maybe like to just stouten him up in his feature in comparison to a couple of other cattle and just give him a shot more time. A nice individual steer that wins the first class. Young lady that wins class 2, I think from a balance standpoint, you could really make a good case for this steer being competitive in the lineup, and I think he is because of that. He reads really correct in his top line. I think a steer that reads really correct out of his hip and his hind leg in comparison to the two other cattle behind him. Maybe not just as far as long in terms of his red body and composition, but I think that's a very fundamentally correct steer. He reads fresh, he reads youthful. I think a steer that has tons of shape, tons of product, maybe just gets outmasked by a couple other cattle in this group, but I think a steer that exhibits a great deal of quality. Steer that wins the third class, I think a steer that's really fresh. He's compositionally correct, he balances up really nice. I think a steer as you step right in behind him. I guess my biggest complaint would be he's got tons of power up high in his top and there in his pin set, maybe down through his lower leg and his stifle, maybe like to beef him up just a touch, but that's getting really critical. I think a steer that is ultra fresh in his composition, he reads really correct in his body, maybe just a couple of small areas where you'd like to change him, but I think that's a really nice type of steer. And then we get into the big heavyweight, definitely one that has tons of red body and power and bone. Love those attributes about him. I think a heavier weight steer that is just a little past prime, to be completely honest. I'd maybe like to see him just dialed back to be just 12 o'clock today. And I think that's where he gets beat within this respective lineup. I think there's one that's just a touch more dialed in. I think there's one just presented really nicely, and I think one that's just right on target today. Young lady in front of me out of class 3 is going to be our champion. Congratulations.
Home race steer goes to Lady DeFree. Aniston Poston will be bringing her steer in to compete for reserve. are Rod and Jenny Hart.
For reserve, I think it gets a little bit closer. The young lady that comes out of the class, our champion did, brings her steering here, and one that settling down a little bit better and starting to come into his own. I know the young lady struggled with that steer quite a bit, but it's good to have him back in the lineup. I think it gets competitive between him and the two steers on either side of him. I think you can make a strong case for any of the three. I love the look and balance of the quality of the lighter weight steer the young lady has out of Class 2. I just don't know that he's as stout and as powerful as probably needs to be in a truly market show, and so it's saying that probably just runs out of gas in comparison to a couple of those other cattle. But you had him just a touch more weight and a touch more power, I think that would make an easy choice, but I think there's two stouter cattle right in behind him. The middleweight steer, or the one out of Class 3, I guess, probably the most appropriate in terms of his weight, his finish, his muscularity. I think all those three things this steer does exceptionally well. Aesthetically, he gets just a touch plainer, maybe not as attractive up through his front end. He maybe doesn't bounce out of his hip maybe quite as correct, but I think he's right where he needs to be from a market standpoint, and that's probably one of the more important things. The big heavyweight steer, ultra powerful. He's got some balance things that you like. He's got some bone. He's got some body. I think a steer that just a little bit more mature in his look. I think a steer that has just a touch more on him in terms of finish and composition. He's got some aesthetic things to like. Probably just getting a little on the heavier weight or more mature side for me, and maybe just like to just push him back to 12 o'clock. But his day's come and gone, and unfortunately for him, that it kind of comes to his demise. And I guess we're left with three cattle that you've got some things that you really like and some things that some big holes. But in a market show, there's one I think is right in the middle of where he needs to be. Young lady that's having a tough go of it. She's going to be our reserve champion. Congratulations to her.
Reserve goes to Anderson Hosted. Good job, kids. All of you did a super nice job. Brought some high quality cattle here in your home race division. Now we'll go to our purchase division. We'll have three classes of purchase. First young man in the ring is John Peterson. His steer weight 11.48 at a gain of 3.25. Next young lady is Devin Isaacson. Her steer weight 11.85 at a gain of 2.59. Third one into the ring is the little gal, Taylor Yates. Her steer weight 12.35 and at a gain of 3.10. That's our first class of purchase steer.
As we work into this first class and into the purchase show, I think the young lady wins here with a black steer, and I think it's kind of close maybe here up top. The black steer that we start with is just more powerful, really big back that is really dimensional as you get in behind him. Because of it, it's not surprising that he's just shaped more correct in his rib and his body. Get kind of critical on him as he gets out on the go. I'd like to just set him down more comfortable in his hock and his pasture. Definitely think though steer that is ultra powerful because it's that dimension steer that needs to win. Steer that comes in next, I think you could make a case for him getting around the other one from his hip and hind leg set as he gets out on the go. Probably handles his rear leg a touch more comfortable than the steer that leads off. That steer that's very appropriate in regards to his finish. I think the biggest part is you go up the side of him, he needs more depth to his flank to balance him out better from the side. I think a steer in comparison, maybe just not as just bold and powerful in his shape up high, but definitely a nice one, really track type of steer. Really expressive. First and third, really long. hip and his rear leg. From a structure standpoint, just like to set him down more comfortable as he gets out on the go. A nice competitive class. Again, congratulations to those exhibitors.
Purchase steers for our division. First in that class went to Taylor Yates with a purple. Second to Devin Isaacson with a purple. Third to John Peterson with a blue. This is our second class of purchase steers here. First one in is Olivia Jacobs. Her steer weighs 1299 and gave 3.24. Black and white steer, Chloe Bruce. Her steer weighs 1303 at a gain of 2.98. The black baldy steer, Lady DeVries. Her steer weighs 1307 and had a gain of 3.06. This is our second class of purchase steers.
tough and competitive class, especially up top, and as we circle the cattle back around, I think that's where the leadoff steer presents himself probably the best to me. I think the top two are really, really nice, and there's some trade-offs between that respective pair. For me, the black and white steer that leads off, probably just a touch better balanced. I think a steer that just reads a touch smoother there from his shoulder back and his top line. I prefer his hip and hind leg set in comparison to the power steer directly in behind him. I think kind of a sharper appearing type of steer. He's really up-headed, and yet he's really fresh in his condition, really smooth blending type of steer that just balances up really, really nice from the profile. I like that he can combine the fact that he's not the most powerful, and then goes to the steer right in behind him, but he sure has enough for me. I think he takes his what muscle he has and then compositional correctness, the correctness of those two things, and he combines it with the most elite look, so it makes a really nice steer there to lead off. Really fundamentally correct his power steer. I love his ribbon body. I love his dimension. This guy's got a huge back and just so dimensional out of his hip. That's where he makes a strong case to win. I think hip forward, that steer's made really correct. Get into his hip. I think it gets more exaggerated as he gets on the go, but steer that gets just a touch rounder and maybe not quite as correct in the way that he's made his hip structure and the way that he comes down and sets his rear leg to the ground. But getting really critical on a really nice correct steer. Love the red, love the power. Maybe just gives up some aesthetic things and a close decision between a really nice pair. Not to discredit anything or take anything away from the red steer. Really long body type of steer, handles with plenty of correctness of finish to him. I think maybe a steer that just gets out masked and gives up some quality in comparison. But nice fundamentally correct steer that closes. Good class again. Congratulations.
Nice class of market steers there in our purchase division. First went to Chloe Bruce with a purple. Second to Lainey DeFries with a purple. Third to Olivia Jacobs with a blue. That's our last class of market steers, purchase market steers. Slade Graham, his steer weighed 1407, had a gain of 2.97. Devin Isaacson, her steer weighed 1490 and had a gain of 3.26. That's our last class of purchase steers.
Really nice pair of steers in this last class, and we're going to leave them the way they walked in. The shorthorn appearing steer is going to lead us off, and I think because he offers more quality from the side. A steer that definitely balances up better, is more correct in his top line, more extended and more youthful, even though he's a touch mature, he's still more youthful than the steer behind him. Definitely think a steer that has plenty of muscle, he's compositionally correct, but I think most importantly, he just has a shot more quality. That's what's going to allow him to lead the class. Steer comes in second, really moderate type of steer. I think a steer that reads really stout in his fin set. As you get in behind the cattle, he actually has more shape down through his lower quarter and stifle than the shorthorn steer directly in front of him. I just wished he combined his added just shape and muscularity with just a fresher and more youthful look, which keeps some aesthetic and some balanced things about this year. I think it could get more competitive. He just gets a touch off, and his top line needs to set down just a touch better in his foot shape and a touch more comfortable on the go. But good competitive class there to close. Congratulations.
That was our third class of market purchase steers. First went to Slade Graham with a purple, second to Devin Isaacson. Our judge now will be selecting our champion and reserve purchase market steer. Our sponsor for the champion purchase market steer is the Red Oak Express newspaper. Thanks to them. First one in the ring is Taylor Yates. His steer weighs 1235. The next one into the ring is Chloe Bruce. Her steer weighs 1303. The next one in the short arm steer is Slade Graham. His steer weighs 1407.
As we work our way through each of our class winners, I definitely think all three of them deserving to be out here. The young lady steer that wins the first class, one that has some shape and some expression. Maybe he's not just as sound and maybe as correct as the pair of steers directly behind him, but I think a steer that still bounces up pretty well, a steer that has some shape and some muscle to him. I think a steer that just like to change some structural things about him. A steer that gets just a touch off there in his rear leg, but really like just the power in that guy. Steer that comes out of the second class, and I think that was a really competitive class, or at least those top two were. The black and white steer is one that comes out and is one that demands your attention. I love his presence and the profile that guy offers from the side. He's really moderate, yet he balances up really well. He's a shorter canning steer, and I don't know that he's going to be much bigger than what he is, but I definitely think that steer balances up right now exceptionally well. I think he's really fresh, and because of all those things, I like that guy quite a bit. And then the shorthorn steer wins that heavyweight class, a really nice heavier weight steer. I think he's one that has been presented really nicely. He's got tons of rib and body. From a balance standpoint, I like him quite a bit. Maybe like to change his hip and hind leg, and in comparison, maybe a steer that just isn't quite as powerful as the steer directly in front of him, and maybe not quite as fresh. So in saying that, there's one that hit me really hard, one I like quite a bit. Young lady here in the middle with a black and white steer will have her champion. Congratulations.
Champion purchase steer goes to Chloe Bruce. Now competing for reserve. Coming into the ring is Lady DeFreeze.
Again, that black and white steer comes in, that was second in that class behind our champion. Got kind of critical on him because of his hip and maybe some things like to change in that regard, but that's getting really picky on a really nice steer. I think that one exhibits the second most quality. That one's my second favorite here in our bot show. Young lady's going to be our reserve. Congratulations.
Reserve purchase steer goes to Laney Dupree. Congratulations to all the kids that showed really good steers in this division. Our judge now will be selecting the overall grand champion market animal. While we're waiting here, I think we need to give another round of applause to the three young ladies down there by the desk from the extension office. Stand up. Thank you for all the hard work you've done. It's been a troubling deal, but you came through with flying colors. Thank you. This will be for all the marbles now in the market beef show. First one into the ring is the champion beginner. That was Bret Hart. His steer weighed 1,275 pounds. Next one into the ring is the champion market heifer, shown by Chloe Bruce. We got a substitute showman on the end of the halter there. Champion home race steer is Laney Dupree. And champion purchase steer is Chloe Bruce. That's our lineup for the overall grand champion market animal. Okay, after our judge selects as a grand and reserve market animal, then we'll go into our showmanship division. They're going to start with the senior exhibitors. So if you want to get your cab here on the south end of the show ring, then we can go right into that after our judge gets done here. Sponsoring the overall grand champion market beef is Andrew Herzberg of Vitaperm Minerals. The overall reserve grand market beef is sponsored by Lidell Auction Services. Thanks to those people. Well, as our judge is looking through his lineup here, I want to say one thing. We need to give our judge Marcus Arnold a nice round of applause. He gave each and every exhibitor time, and he looked over their project and Sydney, the big superintendents, hang in there, Brett. It's almost over. I know he's going to make a good football player. Iowa State better sign him up. Hang on like that, he'll be okay, Brett.
Up here with our market show, I think that first and foremost, let's give these kiddos a big round of applause. These guys definitely deserve it. You guys have heard me talk the cattle enough, but I'll make just a couple of brief comments before we work our way into showmanship. And I've noticed we've had a lot of younger showmen that have come in, like we have a first-time showman here, and the young man's doing a great job. And Bud, I hope you don't get discouraged by steer acting up on you, because I think you're doing a nice job, and I hope that you come back and make this a project that you want to do year after year, because I think you're doing a nice job with him. And I noticed that we've had a lot of young people show today, and young people that may not be here, one thing that I would tell you, young people, is don't give up and don't get discouraged. I promise you this is the best thing that you young people can do, just to get involved. And I promise you there's no better activity, youth activity, that you young people can engage in. I know here, especially in the cattle ring, you guys have put a lot of time and effort into these projects. And we got to the month of February, and the last show that I judged prior to this one was the heifer show at San Antonio. And then no more than 2 or 3 weeks later, come to find out some of the other big state shows in Texas, like Houston and Austin, had to cancel their shows. And then Oklahoma had to cancel their shows. And then you see more regional shows get canceled, and junior national shows get moved around. And it's been a chaotic year, and I think you guys ringside would agree with that. I promise you, young people, you'll look back in the year of 2020, and this will be a year you remember, maybe not for a lot of good reasons, but it'll be a year that you remember. But one thing that has held true is that you young people have continued to work with your projects. You've made the best with just a crazy situation, and I couldn't be more proud for the time and the effort that you guys have put into it. And win, lose, or draw here today, I hope that you're proud with your accomplishment. I hope that you're proud of the people that allowed this event to happen and the support that has gone into it. And I hope that you folks ringside recognize that and would give those guys a little bit of praise as well. So, young people, I couldn't be more proud of you. I know that it's competitive. I'm super competitive, and if you win or lose, it's a part of it in one guy's opinion. I helped a young man there yesterday in our county show there in Winterset, and he was a senior his last go, and we found him a heifer there through my wife's family. Brought the heifer up, and I helped this kid all year. We got to our last day and didn't get a piece of it, and we missed out on the top 5. He ended up second behind the champion, and it was unfortunate that we couldn't go 3 deep in the Angus show, because I think he'd have been 3rd overall. But it's part of it, and we had to swallow that. He came back and won showmanship. And so if you don't get along good here, just know that there's another judge who has a different opinion. And I promise you guys will get along really well. The second thing that I'll tell you, young people, is that get out and network and meet people. I promise you that there's a lot of good people in this industry, and a lot of people that I haven't been fortunate enough to meet. But I was fortunate to have a dad that traveled all over the country as an ag teacher buying youth projects for FFA students in the state of Texas. And one place that we always stopped on our pig buying trip, as he was buying animals for exhibitors, was here in Red Oak, Iowa. And Mr. Kirk Swanson up there in the bleachers, I got to know him at a very young age, and he was a big supporter of our program and my dad, and we were a big supporter of his program. And through that relationship, he was always good to us. I know that not a lot of people showed this, but we showed a lot of pigs and we showed a lot of cattle. And I think Kirk has a picture of me as probably a sixth grader. I don't know Kirk, but I was pretty young, and we had a reserve champion pin a two there at the Arizona National Show, and it was probably one of the neatest experiences that I had as a young person showing, and it was because of that gentleman up there. And so young people get out and meet people. It's awesome. The relationship that I've had with Kirk as I've grown into a professional career, he's been a big supporter, and I've really appreciated the relationship that I've had with him. Same with my wife, getting to meet Austin and his wife Sydney, and I know that they've done some stuff with my wife, and that's how we've gotten to meet them. And so the networking, and I'm getting kind of long-winded here, but the opportunities through networking through this show thing, guys, is pretty big if you allow it to. Go out, meet people. The show part of it's awesome, but get out and get to know people that you show with, not only here in your own county, but maybe some surrounding counties, and if you're fortunate, get outside of the state and meet some other people. But go out and enjoy what you do. Hope you guys have had a good experience. This year's show has been really awesome, and I'm glad that I've had the privilege to be here. And saying all that, there's one steer that I thought kind of stood out in the group, and saying that one that hit me pretty hard. I've talked him enough. You guys know which one I like. The black and white one. Here's going to be your champion.
Great champion market animal shown by Chloe Bruce. Congratulations to you, young lady. Now coming into the ring to compete for reserve is Laney DeFries, steer shown by Kennedy.
Young lady with a black and white steer got in a really competitive class, and a lot of times that's how it goes. That steer is really nice. He ran into a really nice one in a good class, and he's fortunate to be back out here again. You at ringside can make a case for, I think, the black steer ahead of him, and maybe even the market heifer for reserve contention. I think both of them have a strong argument, maybe to justify doing that. But I guess for me, maybe one that hits me probably the second hardest is one in a really close class. I think the one that's the power steer in the lineup is going to be our reserve champion. And right here with the other black and white one, congratulations to her. She'll be our reserve.
Reserve goes to Laney DeFries, shown by her sister. Good job, all of you. Really an excellent beef show today, I think. One of the better ones we've had. We'll go into senior showmanship now.
work our way into the showmanship competition. A fun and competitive way to start here with our seniors, and I think 1 through 7, I commend you guys. I think as a whole, you guys are a great group of showmen and have a lot to be proud of. And so you guys ringside, big round of applause for these exhibitors. An outstanding job. As we kind of worked through the group, and I didn't pull these over in any particular order, but I kind of narrowed it down to the 3 exhibitors there that I thought were doing a really nice job. Now, those 3, I think, have their cattle in position, the right position kind of pretty much the whole time, and yet they've really just asserted where I'm at, and they've got kind of the intangibles of kind of just naturally pulling their cattle into place and then getting them set up pretty quickly. And yet I think there's a couple of them that do maybe a little bit better, maybe one that does a little bit better than the others. I think there's one that really is a standout in this lineup. I think those top 3 are all really, really good showmen. Maybe some small things that separate them, but there's one that I thought when this person came in did just a really outstanding job, and when this person comes back in here, I think it just the separation from 1 to 2 to 3 just becomes even greater. The young lady here with the black and white steer, she's going to be our champion showman. Congratulations.
Champion senior showman goes to Laney DeFreeze. Now we'll be doing our junior intermediate group.
Everybody, please remember, if you want champion or reserve, whether you're getting a banner or a rosette, whatever, for reserve, please stick around so we need your picture. We will be announcing, so be listening closely, please.
this intermediate or junior group. I think that four really good showmen. These young ladies are doing a really nice job. And before I make any comments on each of them, those of you ringside, big round of applause for these four young ladies. Awesome job. As we work into this, it's kind of a smaller group, I'll make some more general comments about each of them and what I think they're doing really well, and maybe some things, young people, that I think you could take home and improve upon. The young lady up front, she said that steer's not wanting to cooperate maybe quite as well, and that he's tired. And young lady, I completely understand it. Some things I think you're doing really well, though. I think you've got a lot of ring presence, and I think you do a really good job just naturally just putting yourself in a good position and knowing where to put that steer. I think you do a good job from that standpoint. You've got a lot of ring presence about you, and that's a really positive thing. As we get this steer pulled over to the profile, the one thing that I would encourage you to do is look at kind of his back leg placement and make that modification there at the end, and just maybe pull him up half a step just to get that other leg pulled in front, and I think that would help out quite a bit. But you got him kind of there to stand still, and I know he's tired and you're tired, but here at the end of a long day, maybe just one small adjustment, but other than that, I think you're doing a really good job. Young lady here with the black and white steer does a really nice job. I think that steer just sets up and then presents himself really nice, and the young lady goes ahead and pulls that steer into a real natural position. I think those are some of the attributes of a showman that is able to maybe step it up into another level from a showmanship standpoint, and just being able to do that. And so I commend the young lady on that. I think maybe at times, and I know that steer's wanting to get a little bit hotter, but he could look maybe just a little bit more stretched out at times. But again, it's getting really nitpicky. I think, young lady, you're doing a really nice job. Young lady here with the shorthorn heifer, I know that she's had a tough go of it today. I know that she got stepped on and maybe thrown around a little bit earlier, but young lady, I'm really proud of you. You come back in here, you wipe up the tears, and you get really competitive, and I commend you in doing that, because it speaks a lot to your character and your just willingness to just be competitive. And so it's awesome to see you back in here and competing. You've got that heifer set up really nice, and I like the way her feet and legs are set up, and I think you're doing a great job from that standpoint. One thing I would just encourage you to do differently when we walk the cattle, and just maybe just have a little bit more presence of where I'm at. I know at times you're just trying to get that heifer in the right place, but maybe just take it up a notch in terms of your intensity, and just try to find the judges are circling around there. But small thing, and I think you're doing a really nice job there. Young lady here with the red heifer, I think that you're just really calm and natural showman. I think young lady, just get that heifer set up, and you just don't really adjust a lot of things, and that's a good thing. Too many young people try to poke and they try to make adjustments when they don't need to. You just kind of naturally get yours set up. There's a couple times where I would adjust her feet and legs as we get her set around here, and I know it's kind of a smaller ring, but try to maybe utilize a little bit more of your space. But I think you're doing an outstanding job as well. Another big round of applause. Young lady here, black and white, will be our intermediate showman. Congratulations.
Good job, kids. We have two beginners, Lily Anderson with her heifer, and Brett Martin with his steer. Two beginner kids.
apologize for taking a little bit more time here with our two beginner showmen, and I think it's important that we walk through just some things and allow this experience for these beginner showmen to be really good, but allow educational opportunity for them to learn a few things, I hope, and to continue to come back and work on their skills and just improve as they come back and they get older. But both these young people did a really nice job. I think the young lady there, she's really calm, just a really collected type of showman. When she stops that heifer, she gets her in a really good place. I made a comment to her about her hand placement on the halter and maybe moving it down just a bit, and then just trying to keep that heifer's head up. I think doing that will help that young lady out quite a bit. But she does a really nice job. She always had that heifer just smooth and set up. She did a really good job from that standpoint. Young man, when we got that steer to want to cooperate and stand still, you can tell he's got an intensity about him. He's really competitive. I think the young man really enjoys showing cattle, and he can tell you every place on that steer that he enjoys to be scratched and knows everything about him. And so it was fun getting to talk to him. Made the same comment as that steer wanted to pick up pace, maybe to move his hand a little bit closer on the halter, and we talked about why to do that, maybe to have just a little bit more control, but understand why he didn't today, and we talked about that. But I think the young man does a nice job when he's able to slow that one down. It's unfortunate that the steers maybe not want to cooperate with him and then kind of speed up some of these turns, but I think it's a really good showman. Both of you young people have a bright future. Young lady, you're going to be our champion in this division today. Congratulations to both of them. Big round of applause.
Beginner showman goes to Lily Anderson. Congratulations, young lady. Our judge will now be selecting their overall champion showman. That'll be his last duty today. The overall grand champion beef showman. Their sponsors are the Gloria Jensen Trust, Seligren Lindell Funeral Home, and Funeral Home, State Farm agent Dave Carball, and the Grant Spitfires with the Nike Memorial Award. Thanks again to all the sponsors that are sponsoring us kids here at the Beef Show. Without your help, why it wouldn't be near as success as it has been. Again, thanks to our judge, Marcus Arnold from Winterset, Iowa. He's done an excellent job today. I'd recommend him anywhere. Good job, Marcus. Thanks for coming and doing a good job with our kids.
come to the end of the show and the day here. First and foremost, thank you guys for having me. It's certainly been an honor and a privilege. I really enjoyed getting to work with you young people, and what was supposed to, I think, be one of the hotter days this summer, it's turned out to be an awesome facility, just a nice breeze, maybe at times a little high wind, but it's made it pretty comfortable and pretty enjoyable, and it's been an awesome experience with an awesome group of young people, and so thanks for having me. I really enjoyed my time. I think it's been a fun and really just an awesome show. 3 young ladies that we have out here, great showmen, and I think all 3 of them do a really nice job. One thing, and one last thing that I'll say, and I don't know that I see any of them around, but all the young male showmen ringside, I'm going to give a little call to action. You notice all 3 of these are young ladies out here in our final drive, and so I hope you young men come back and maybe get a little bit more competitive, because the young ladies beat up on you today. But kudos to you young ladies. You're definitely deserving of where you're at. Great showmen, all 3 of you. I think there's one that really kind of stands out. First time she came in the ring, I think she hit me really hard, and I knew young lady knew what she was doing, and the more she comes out here, it becomes more obvious and more evident. The young lady that was our senior showman, she's going to be our overall champion. Congratulations.
Overall champion showman goes to Laney DeFreeze. Congratulations to you, Laney. And that winds up our beef show here at the Montgomery County Fair. Thank you all for coming and supporting our team.